They say starting a business is hard. But what if the real challenge isn't launching it? What if it's believing you're capable before the world tells you so? Come on, let's go ahead and get this conversation started. Welcome back to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast, the space where we have real conversations with real leaders who are living boldly and building bravely and leading with purpose. Today's episode is for every leader who has ever said, I have an idea, but where do I begin? From mindset to money, and from fear to freedom, you're going to hear the kind of wisdom today that moves you from hesitation to momentum. And before we get started, because we have an amazing guest today, I want to, we've been celebrating for about the past 3 weeks, and the celebration continues because you have been so amazing. So let's go ahead and get our drum roll. That's right. We are celebrating today because you have moved us to 3,500 podcast downloads. Oh my goodness. How amazing. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause. And I want to say thank you so much for continuing to keep Transformation Station relevant and practical and on the airwaves and visually as well. So listen, we're at 3,500. We want to get to 4,000. We want to get to 5,000. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. You know what I'm going to ask you. If you have missed even one episode in seasons 1 and in seasons 2, I want to invite you right now to go back and to listen to the episodes, but don't just keep this to yourselves. It's time for you to make sure that you're sharing this podcast with others so that we truly can be a global community. Well, listen, we want to go ahead and dive into this amazing conversation today. We're joined by the incredible Tea Phillips, an entrepreneur, a speaker, a truth teller, who's here to unpack what it really takes to start a business, silence the inner critic, and step into your next chapter with confidence. Tea, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. Welcome to Transformation Station Leadership Podcast. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here today.
Absolutely. So we've been trying to have this conversation for a while, Taya, and I'm so glad we can finally have it. And as I was getting ready for this episode, I was doing a little bit of thinking, and I was thinking about, many of us as leaders, we didn't wait for permission to leave. We didn't have it all figured out. For a lot of us that are watching and listening right now, we started off messy. We just tried to stay consistent somehow and try to let the purpose or the passion we have inside kind of lead the way. So I want to start off by asking you this question. When you first decided to start your business, what mindset shift did you have to make to believe that you could actually do it?
At that point, I didn't have a lot of historical telling me that I was able to do something like this. So it's kind of just having the audacity to go out and try something big for the purpose of reaching the goals that I had set, which is to help a lot of people with the MetaFlex glove. So it felt important to be audacious and to take a leap of faith and really focus on the mission and the purpose rather than feeling scared, because it's definitely scary quitting your day job, starting a business, or even holding on to the day job, but like telling people, oh my gosh, I'm doing this new thing. It might work, it might not. But it's definitely a scary thing to get going, and you just have to believe in yourself. So what I did is just focused on the mission of affordable healthcare. And for me, that was pretty easy. I created MetaFlex to help my grandmother with her arthritis. She had really bad arthritis. Her pain was severe. She was losing her mobility. So I realized how important this would be and how impactful it could be in people's lives pretty
Mm.
early on. So then I just, held tight to that mission of helping people and making a positive impact. And that really, really helped and set the course. So that's what I could come back to when I was scared.
Yeah, I love that. You said a word that made me smile. You said the word audacious. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I love that, right? Doing it while scared, you know. But the other thing that stuck out to me was there was something that was grounding you. There was something that was holding you, wanting to be able to help your grandmother. So there was a passion on the inside. There was a motivation that kept you confident that even though I don't know how this is going to work out, right? I'm still going to move forward. And when you were talking about telling other people, hey, I'm doing this thing, I don't know if it's going to work out, I don't have all the answers, that is scary for many of us. And that
It
is
is
one of the
scary.
areas that holds a lot of us back, right? Because what are people going to think? Or what if I fail? What if I fail, right? And we're talking about mind shifts that help us to grow, to move forward. And for that leader that's listening and watching right now, when you're saying, what if I fail? Taya and I want to invite you to move from what if I fail to what if I grow. Oh, what if I grow? Because I heard Taya saying that
Yes.
she grew, right? You started off by saying, I didn't have all the answers when I first started. I didn't know how this was going to work out. I just knew there was something that I was convicted to do.
Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
live.
And it's if you're not failing, then you're not learning, and if you're not learning, then you're not growing.
I love.
So all of your failures, I mean, can just be seen as learnings, even though some of them are painful, some of them aren't. But definitely, I love what you said there. What if I grow? That's You
Grow.
will, even if you fail, you're gonna grow, and if you succeed, you're gonna grow. And either way, you're moving your life in forward.
I love that. And you said if you're not failing, you're not learning, and if you're not learning, you're not growing. Hey, listen, everybody, Taya is giving us a master class right now. I need you to go ahead and write this down, right? These are some serious gems and some serious notes, right? And Taya, I
Mhm.
found this quote that says, "You don't need to be fearless to begin, just willing to take the first step."
I don't think anyone's fearless.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary to bet on yourself. It's difficult. We have these paths lined up in front of us, which is work for somebody else, guaranteed income, and that's
Mm,
really stable.
mm,
It's really scary to take that kind of risk on yourself, and it's ultra scary to be a business owner because you're the face of it.
yes.
What will people think? But this isn't about them, it's about you. You can't control what other people think. You can only control your actions and your thoughts.
I love that. So let me ask you this question. What's one challenge you completely underestimated when launching, and how did you navigate that?
Oh my gosh. Um, Speaking of challenges and failures, I've just failed and failed again and gotten back up. I think entrepreneurship is a test of resilience.
Hmm.
So there's been many challenges. Let me think of one specifically. Um, it's always just iterating. Like we would invest in things that wouldn't pay off, like paying influencers for posts, and that didn't pay off, or going to trade shows and you think you're going to make a lot of money at this trade show, but that's not the right one to be at. It takes a lot of money to learn, and navigating that really, I found the most help in finding people that have done this before or who are doing it now but are further along. Like um, one of the big lessons I learned recently was that I could move some of the stuff that I was hiring someone to do in house and kind of cut our cost and
Hmm.
then better control and predict the growth, specifically our ad accounts,
Hmm.
that we could move that in house. And I learned that by talking to another founder who's much further ahead than I am
Hmm.
in consumer sales, e-commerce sales, that runs all of theirs in house. And they
Hmm.
told me, here's the strategy. You can do this, and then you can cut costs and you can better predict your growth because you're the one in control of it.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, so I think a lot of the challenges I've had this year were putting the right resources into the right buckets in the right places, like spending a lot on marketing, but pulling some of the agencies out, and knowing that even if my creative isn't as beautiful as their creative is, the strategy is ultimately what's winning in bringing in conversions.
Mm-hmm.
So and it took me finding someone who does e-commerce to
Mm-hmm.
learn that. My product fits into several different categories: medical device, direct to consumer. I'm talking to wholesalers and distributors. Um, it's hard to find someone who aligns with what I'm doing, but I did finally, and I've learned a lot from them. So mentors are the biggest, and it's people who have done
Mm-hmm.
exactly, almost exactly as close as you can find to what you're doing, and then just letting them in the business and telling them what's happening.
And this is so important. I'm glad you brought that up, right? I find that, as we walk forward into trying these new things and building these businesses, so many times the temptation is to isolate. So many times the temptation is, I have to figure it all out, right? But I
Mm.
love what you just said. Find somebody who's already done what you're doing, somebody who aligns with what you're doing. And you kind of have to be humble, right, Taya? Like you have to you have to humble yourself in some ways to be able to say, I don't have all the answers, but I love what you said earlier. I'm here to learn. And it's as you align yourself with these individuals, as you learn, as you get mentorship and coaching, then you're able to get the skill sets that you need to really be able to launch off and to continue to walk forward courageously. So, to all of our listeners and viewers here in Transformation Station, we always give ourselves an opportunity to stop and to reflect as we are going through the conversation. I want to invite you, this is a great place right here to stop and to reflect, right? What are some of the challenges that you have underestimated as you have been trying to launch new things, right? Whether it's, going for that new promotion, whether it's, starting, building that new business, right? Whatever it may be, what are some of those? And then how have you navigated it? I want to invite you to share with us, those of you who are watching, share with us in the chat. Those of you who are listening, send a DM, send an email. We'll be sure to share your answers in future episodes. But this is a great place to be able to stop and just be aware and also start to continue to have that conversation with yourself of how do you navigate. And the last thing I want to say before we go to the next question is just, Taya reminded us, build your inner circle. I love the fact, Taya, you said, I didn't have that at first, right? But you put yourself out there, you met people, you went to trade shows, you went to all these different things so that you could put yourself in a place where there are people that are in alignment that you could meet. And, it's not always easy, but to everybody listening and watching, we want to invite you to build your inner circle as you are looking to launch. So let me ask you this question. How do you, Taya, lead yourself well during uncertain or high pressure seasons? And what's a practice maybe that keeps you grounded when you're in a pressure season?
It's that's a very good question. Thank you for asking. What a wonderful question. I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried hiking, going out into nature, touching the trees, feeling the energy, like grounding myself and
Mhm.
trying to, calm myself down. Exercise is insanely important. Everyone says it, but like it really helps you reduce stress and cortisol, and it improves like your thinking because you're using this time to work on your physical health. Um, Journaling has been really, really good for me too. So
Mhm.
writing down like everything in my head, which is like, what is the worst possible scenario? Like, I failed and this crashed and burned and it's all bad because I messed it up. Or, and then I say like the worst thing, and then I say, but I could do this. And then if I did this, then that would probably fix this part. And if I did this, then that would probably fix this part. And then like, I do have this really big opportunity coming up. So like if I just focus on like this big opportunity, then that's a big win. And then I, have these smaller wins and you start to compound. And so getting it out of your head and onto paper has
Mhm.
really helped clear my mind because in my business, I'm a solopreneur. I don't have a co-founder or a partner. It's all me, which a lot of leaders can understand that plight. And so you know that this isn't working, but you make excuses for the employee because you know their situation at home, and you're too focused and too in it, and you're in every single part of it, so it's difficult to make those really good decisions until you write it down and get it on paper and out of your head. And that, for me at least, helps to organize and calm myself during high pressure moments, because it just lets me get my thoughts down and start to flow it in a way that makes sense.
I love that. 1000%. I agree with you. I think that almost everybody that's listening and watching can absolutely relate to what you're saying. We're talking about how do we practice being grounded. And I love what you said, right? We're going to start with stillness. To all of our leaders listening and watching, before you jump into the action, give yourself space to breathe. Taya reminded us, journal. Stop and get it outside of your head and put it down on paper. There's something that's therapeutic about it, right? Journal, reflect, pray, meditate, whatever your way of being able to just stop and ground yourself, center yourself is, that's what you want to do. Taya, as a leader, I have found that even 5 minutes, it may seem small, but even 5 minutes of quiet many times can reset and clear my mind. Just quiet. No cell phone. Put that cell phone down, leaders. Put it down, right? No cell phone. No, just no talking to anybody else. Just let me just hear the quietness. And many times that's what our minds, our nervous system needs to be able to ground and recenter and help us to be able to posture ourselves to move forward. Also, one more I thought about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Name what's true. Right? When pressure builds, your inner dialogue matters. Like you said, Taya, write down what you know is true about who you are, what you're responsible for, and what you're not, because truth calms the noise. I have experienced that just this week. I was in a pressure situation at work, and I just stop, because my everything within me was ready to jump into the crazy. And I said, what's really true? And what I found was my mind had created a scenario that really was not accurate to what was happening. And I was about to say some things and react and respond in a way that it's not even about wouldn't have been good. It just wasn't really true, the right response for what the situation actually was. What do you think about that?
I think that's absolutely true. Our first reaction are usually automatic, and then taking a moment to sit and process. Silence is really powerful. It's powerful in sales calls. It's powerful in your life, to take those moments. So I absolutely agree. And then you can move forward in a calmer state. And we all, I think, react better when we're not in a heightened emotional state.
Yeah, 1000%. So what support systems or lack thereof made the biggest impact on your early journey as a leader, as a founder, starting your business?
Yeah. Luckily I have a good support system. I have family who let me move in with them when I needed to save money and start my business. I had mentors who turned into advisors, and then wrote me loans to help me start my business, and investors in the local community. So having a support system is really, really good. The lack thereof, though, I'd say having people who have a co-founder have an edge, because then you have two people making these decisions, high pressure, high stakes environment. You've got two people. So you're not one person trying to manage your emotions and making the correct decision. If you're able to have a partner in, if you're a leader in a company and there's another leader in another division that you trust, that should be someone that you should be talking to about as much as that you can. Having a partner for these things, people who have one definitely have an advantage, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. What's one lesson that you've learned from building your business that every leader, not just entrepreneurs, need to understand? One lesson.
Hmm. There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I would just come back to failure is growth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also when I was talking to an early mentor of mine who I've had since I worked as an engineer before I started before I went full time with my company, I asked him about leadership. And one of the lessons he gave me was about servant leadership and
Mm-hmm.
how the leader is meant to support the staff and
Mm-hmm.
not say, you do this and you do this and you do this. It's put the right people in place, and then you're the support system for if they need anything, you keep them lifted up and keep them supported. So servant leadership is really important for any leader. And then knowing that when you fail, you're just growing, and it's a test of mindset and resilience, um, and not a reflection of your character. It's everyone who has made anything great or done anything amazing has first done it poorly thousands of times, hundreds of times, and until they understood the system and the path and the way to do it correctly.
Yeah, I love the fact that you said that, right? So many times we see people and we meet them when everything is going well, when they have
Yeah.
the look, when they have the brand, when the website matches the Facebook page and all that stuff, and we're like, oh my gosh, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see how the journey started, right? When there were spelling errors in the post, right? Or the
Yeah.
so you're right. That's really, really important. How do you balance vision and execution, dreaming big while also doing daily work? How do you balance vision, execution, dreaming big while doing the daily work?
Yeah. I think you have to have vision, but you have to have execution as well. And again, you have an advantage when you have two people. Some of the greatest companies that have been started, uh, Google, Apple, Microsoft. I mean, they had the visionary who was planning and innovating, and they had
Mhm,
the operator who is keeping everything afloat. So it's really important. And when you're the one person doing it all,
mhm,
it's really difficult. And so I'm more of a visionary. The operation side isn't intriguing to me.
mhm.
Um, so it's just one of those things that you have to do. You sometimes have to do things that aren't your favorite thing, but hopefully you
Yes.
get to hire and bring in other people who their favorite thing is your thing that you don't love as much.
Mhm.
So um, yeah,
Yeah, no, I
it's
love
the
that. Mhm.
without the operation, you don't have the ability. I mean, you can dream, but you're not going anywhere. So you have to be
Yes,
able to execute on those.
I love
Very
that.
important.
Foot stomp on that, right? Without the execution, you're not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
leaders dream big dreams, but there has to be execution. I love the fact that you highlighted balance, right? When we're able to have teams, you really want to have people on your team that are not just like you. You want to be able to
Yeah.
have people on your team that have different skill sets, right? And to our
Mhm.
leaders, one of the things we want to invite you to do as we look at, some best practices is start every week by revisiting the vision. Remind yourself, why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? What outcome am I building towards? Because vision is fuel. Revisit it regularly. Sometimes we find
Mhm.
ourselves getting stuck because we lose sight of the why. Why am I really doing this? Right? Another one, I'll tell you, is vision gives you direction, execution gives you credibility.
Mhm.
The message.
Absolutely.
You stay
Absolutely.
faithful in the small without losing sight of the big. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, as we turn the corner on this amazing conversation, it really is like a little masterclass. I love it. What advice, what advice, Taya, would you give to someone who is listening or watching right now who has passion but is still stuck in self doubt or perfectionism, right? And before you answer, I have no doubt that there are leaders that are listening and watching right now that are like, okay, Adrienne and Taya, I got it. I feel you. Yes, I agree with you. But they're like, but I don't know if I can start that business, or I don't have everything I need. So I just need to wait until I have everything that I need to be able to start. What advice would you give to that leader today?
I would say that perfection is the enemy of progress.
Mm,
Um, Making something is better than just having the perfect thing in the closet.
mm,
And that you can do a lot being scrappy. You can do a whole lot being scrappy. And you don't have to have it all figured out. You're not going to. Like, as you move and as you learn and as you grow, as you fail and as you succeed and learn and grow, that's how you figure out what the path forward really is. Um, so I'd say believe in yourself and do it. Starting something like that it's really difficult, and you're consistently tested. It's a lesson in growth, and like you're constantly evolving as a person when you're doing something like this. And it's you don't have to be ready for it though. You can just go and you can ready yourself for each next stage at each next stage. So I'd say go
I
for
love
it. Believe in yourself. Try it out.
Yes. You can ready yourself at each next stage for each next stage. That's a whole word right there. I
Yeah.
love that. That's a perfect way to be able to end our podcast episode today. So, Taya, I know that there are individuals, there are leaders that want to reach out to you to hear a little bit more. What's the best way? And tell us a little bit about the MetaFlex Glove.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think the best way would be I have an Instagram page, tea.s.phillips, TEA. And there you can DM me, you can reach out to me, you can follow me on LinkedIn. And the Metaflex is something I invented to help my grandmother with arthritis. So it's this glove. It's a compression glove that has these stretchy bands on the back of the hand to open the hand. So as you move through your day, you're building grip strength. At rest, you're stretching your fingers, and it always has a gentle compression. So this is really good for arthritis, carpal tunnel, trigger finger, Dupuytren's. It's being used for stroke rehab, really any hand condition. So that's what I made. I
That
can't
is
wait to see what you make.
Absolutely. Well, listen, leaders, you see the link there on the screen. It's also in the description box. I want to invite every leader to reach out to Taya. Go ahead, check her out on Instagram. Go ahead and find her on LinkedIn. Go ahead and find her on her website. Reach out to her. Let her know that you saw this podcast episode. Let her know what resonated, and share with her a little bit about your journey as a leader. We are the community that loves to build and grow. Taya, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been amazing to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, listen, everybody, this has been like seriously a masterclass, right? So the next time someone asks you, they say to you, is starting a business hard? It is hard, right? You can smile at them and say, hard? Yeah, it may be hard, but guess what? It's not impossible. If Taya's story lit something up in you today, don't let it fade. Take the first step, write it down like she told us, talk it out, and move forward. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and follow Transformation Station Leadership Podcast for more episodes that spark bold moves and brave leadership. So until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep on leading like you mean it.